In this video, we're going to talk about anger, why men get so angry, and how anger is not our enemy, it is a doorway. Okay, so stick with me for the next 10 minutes or so. I'm going to show you how anger evolves from a reflex response to the fire of our passion, like our radiance, and how you can turn anger into presence, power, and purpose if you know how to let it mature, if you know the stages it goes through. So most men, most people are getting stuck with reactive anger because they never learned what it's for, what it's telling them, how to use it, how to express it. It was never made to be okay. And I'm not talking about harm or abuse of power or the terrible things people have done out of reactive anger. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what we do with that force inside our body and our nervous system and how we can do it. So we'll walk you through 6 stages of anger. There's a simple breath cue for each stage. You can start recognizing where you are. We're going to give you 3 powerful reminders so that you can turn anger into initiation, okay? Anger into the initiation of some purposeful and powerful action. And I suppose the takeaway, if you really want it, is that it's about clarity, not aggression. Okay, it's the real authentic masculine strength is the clarity and the fire of inner purpose that comes when anger matures. So stage one, anger, is reactive anger. We all know this quite well. I won't spend too much time here. Breath is shallow and fragmented. You feel violated or somehow upset, and your first impulse is to defend or escape, okay? And it externalizes the problem, okay? So it's not mine, it's yours. So what's going on inside, what it might feel like or sound like or think like is I'm not safe, I must defend. So the way we can start interrupting that is before you react is pause. If you can get yourself to pause for just 2 seconds, you can break the cycle and get a full breath in the nose, out the mouth, come back into your body. If you can do that, you can shift this. Even one full breath will break that reflex. So stage two, so this is where anger is now mature. This is the maturation of anger. Anger becomes frustration, meaning you're noticing a pattern. You're saying, hang on a minute, this keeps happening. I'm somehow involved in every circumstance. This has got something to do with me. This isn't just what other people are doing to me. I'm somehow involved. Okay. So the awareness here is breaking the loop, and the the frustration is showing you you're repeating a loop basically. So the thought is I'm the common denominator, but I don't know how to change it. Okay. So to help you with this, we've got to breathe a bit more deeply for 60 seconds, okay? And you've got to name what is that repeating thought or feeling? What's the thing repeating? If you can name it and breathe, you can start reclaiming the energy that's in the loop and start using it. Okay, so then we start moving up into stage three, which is anger as a reclamation of power. Because anger, if I had to make anger like an essential oil, if I had to boil it down, anger is the simple force that says no, thank you. It's just a firm, polite no thank you, or boundary was crossed, please don't do that again. Really simple. So a reclamation means our breath is starting to deepen and we're drawing a line saying enough. I deserve more. I'm not putting up with that anymore. I'm taking my power back. I'm no longer giving my power away to that situation. I'm reclaiming it. So anger becomes a boundary, not a weapon. Okay. And power then returns as presence, not force or domination. So the thought inside is I deserve more. And I'm no longer going to abandon myself. I'm no longer going to keep giving my power away. So there's nothing left for me inside, or there's nothing left of me inside, right? So the way we do this is we state the boundary. It's like, okay, I'm not okay with X. Here's what I need, right? And notice it's all I language. I need, I feel, I'm requesting. Okay, there's no projection or blame in that. The fourth stage is anger is resolved. So now we're getting a bit more juicy, okay? Because your breath is going to start stabilizing and anger becomes an endurance, a perseverance, the capacity to hold focus and tension but without collapsing, to stay right on the edge. Like a car going around the corner really fast and the rubber just holds the car, and that tension point of if I go too fast, I'm going to crash, but if I go too slow, it's not going to hold. That feeling. And so we become resilient under pressure. This is how you make a diamond, right? You pressure and the ability to hold the pressure and not collapse. So the thought or feeling is, or the affirmation is, I will keep going even if I don't know what's next. Because if we can be open to not having to know, oh my God, can that just in itself heal a lot of the performance masculine that we talk about in other videos, but also you're open to possibilities of life, right? So to do this, We have to breathe in the nose, out the nose, into our solar plexus. So a little bit lower than the video camera's captioning here, soft bit at the end of your breastbone. In the nose, out the nose for about 60 seconds, and just to focus your breath and energy, because that's where resolve really lives in the body and the nervous system. More on that in other videos. So the fifth stage is anger as resolution. Okay, so this now says your breath is going to open out a little bit more. You're going to get a bit more spacious and you start letting go of what isn't yours to carry. We all carry things, and a lot of the men are carrying roles we think we should do, performance, like be a man, whatever the heck that means, right? And all these ideas we've stacked up, all these cultural conditionings, or the way we hold ourselves back because we don't want to do harm, right? Without being taught how to use the power inside us. So at this stage, anger becomes discernment rather than destruction. Okay, and I say that word very carefully because we have, caused terrible destruction in the world with, anger out of that reactive place. And the idea is we're releasing what is no longer ours to carry. What doesn't serve us anymore. A bit like going through your wardrobe at home and you just, I don't wear that anymore, haven't worn that for ages. I never wore that in the first place. Oh, didn't even know I had that, right? And then you reorganize everything and you move on. So the idea we're going to how you use your breath here is breathe in the nose and out the mouth. And on the out breath, imagine you are releasing a responsibility that drains you, right? So you can maybe journal this out. What's draining me right now, right? And they tend to come to mind pretty quickly. Stage six, okay, the last stage of anger is the fire of the heart. This is our fiery passion, okay? And it radiates. This is where anger is, it focuses, right? It's an engine for giving and for creating from overflow, not lack. It's like I've got so much to give, it flows out of me. Okay, this is mature, generative, masculine energy, and it's considering the legacy, it's considering the longer term, it's considering where you're going, it's considering what you want people to say about you when you die, which I know sounds a bit, but right? Legacy, like what am I doing all this for? And the idea here is I burn, and it is a fiery passion that burns inside us. I burn to give, I burn to receive. Okay, so it's the giving and receiving of our gifts, of our qualities, collaborations, right? And that is what anger is meant to drive into. This is the goal of anger. Okay, anger is no, I'm not okay with this. I want more. I want to go somewhere new. I want to become something more. But we have to be okay with it, feel it, and let it mature for it to get there. Okay, so this is the way you can start doing this is channel that anger energy you feel. Don't make it wrong, bad, don't deny it, don't push it down, but channel it into a constructive action every week. So create something, speak about something, repair something with someone where you know you've upset someone or let someone down, create unapologetically with your life. So now let's look at anger as an initiation force. Okay, so what we have to remember sometimes is that anger can be used to disguise our grief. Okay, so or a loss of trust or a loss of innocence or a part of ourselves. So naming the grief beneath the rage can free it, and therefore you can start to use your anger with more potency, more accuracy, more with more, just more appropriately. So a good question to journal out is what am I grieving that I haven't yet named? And if you work with me more and if you watch more of my videos, I always look for where these are in our body, in our soma, okay? And we want to be aware of it, acknowledge it, and accept it as it is and breathe into it. If you can just be with it for a few seconds, it doesn't take long, it will already start to change, okay? The second is anger is a call to initiation, which means it can signal readiness for change, okay? Meaning, I need to shed a false self, okay? But without guidance and without learning how to use it, it can burn bridges. I mean, I've made this mistake many times in my life. I get angry, fiery, passionate, and I act without thinking about the bigger picture, without consideration, without that sense of legacy, and I end up making a mess. So use it as a signal, not a sword. Okay, so what part of me is ready to die? Okay, so that I may truly live. Okay, so it could be porn, it could be playing too many computer games, it could be playing small, it could be being nice, it could be holding yourself back, it could be, not being honest about what you really want. Okay, all of these things. Okay, so journal that out. What part of me is ready to die so I might truly live? I would love to see your comments, and that really lights me up. And the last is like how anger can be what I call misalignment feedback. Like you're off. And so anger's like, no, this isn't okay. This isn't me. Right. And it points to where your life is out of alignment, where you're just not being you or doing something that isn't right for you in that moment. Okay. And this is not me outside telling you, this is you inside noticing your own feedback. Okay. The difference between a soldier and a warrior is a soldier just follows orders, where a warrior follows his own soul. Okay. It looks like they're doing similar things on the outside, but they're very different creatures. So anger can be an invitation to realign, not to fight. So the great journal in question is, where am I living against my own truth? Right? Wonderful question. So you might want to name an area where your actions aren't stacking up with your values, right? And then just think about one small corrective step. And then we have anger as a gift to the collective. Okay. So when you transmute, when you do all these things, the anger inside, that force, that passion, that fire becomes clarity for others, believe it or not. Right. Because you get more coherent, you get more embodied, you get more centered. And that teaches younger men how to hold themselves, right? So your anger can become service. Imagine that, right? Just by showing up, it helps other people. So your question is, how can my service, my centeredness rather, my coherence, if you like that word, can serve, others, can serve others, upliftment, can inspire others. If I use anger as a force to get my life back on track or off, reorganized, or sometimes it's just a slight shift, but if I can get that fire to burn, how can it inspire others, right? So share a great insight, share with others one honest, calm insight with someone else this week, right? That's been fueled by anger. See if you can notice, hey, I was angry and actually it was useful, right? If you start looking for it, you'll find it. So, this is the vision for the authentic masculine that I have. Okay. It's not about suppression of anger, because when we suppress it, we do horrible things with it. By the way, when we suppress any of our feelings, they tend to bubble out like an annoying child, like a tantruming toddler when we least want them to, right? So if you can understand anger and welcome it, it's used as a clarifying force. You can say, I'm angry and I'm coherent and centered, and that is power. Okay, I have a whole video on power and power distortion. So, you know, be sure to check that out. But what I want you to remember is anger is not your enemy. Okay, it's your power asking to be remembered. It's like, if you can breathe your anger into form, like let it move through your body, it will give you clarity and integrity for the rest of your life. That's what it's designed for. It's not meant to be gotten rid of. It is meant to be transmuted and matured. So comment below what you liked. Share this with a brother who needs to hear this. And now that you know this about anger, watch the video about nice guys and boundaries. Also watch the video about suppressing your dark side, because I go into power, how power gets distorted in that, which I think is super useful for everyone and will help you. If you can know how to use your anger and how power gets distorted and put those things together, so you've got a authentic, coherent, centered sense of those two things, that is incredibly potent for you in your life. So breathe steady, stand in your truth, and I look forward to seeing you in the next videos. Bye for now.